guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to do an update to the very popular series about the effeminist niece that demanded that her uncle pay for her gender studies degree. And guys, that series, which I guess I did the last video about a month ago, which I thought this was over, that was the final update. So one could say this is the final update. I honestly didn't plan on doing any more. I was done. But you know what? This story both is so interesting and entertaining, both for me and you guys. The guy emailed me more things that are going on with his crazy family, so I couldn't resist and I had to do another one. I may have to rebrand these things with the final updates and change it around, but I'll figure that out down the road. But anyhow, as a quick recap, this is the story about the guy who has done well for himself in life, in fact, really well. So as a gift to his family, he funds the college education for the kids in the family, the nieces and his own kids, nephews and all that, as long as they would major in something that made sense and gave a return on their time and investment. In other words, no BS liberal arts degrees, but something that they can really get something out of. So he's got future dentists and doctors and attorneys and things like that. In the first story, he had a family gathering, and where the youngest of the children, his niece Clara, who I believe is 18 years old, he hadn't seen her in a couple of years because of COVID affecting the world, so people weren't seeing each other, families and all. And in that time period, something happened, and she turned into a raging effeminist. But worse yet, a 18-year-old, because raging effeminist is a teenager. As if teenagers are annoying enough as they are and think they know everything, then you get a raging effeminist is even worse. And she managed to disrespect the guy so badly at the table in front of the family, and that pretty much he should pay for her degree no matter what, even though that obviously it's not going to have a return or demand like something like a doctor or dentist. And disrespected him. He wrote me about that, wanting to know my opinion. And my opinion was, don't pay for her. She disrespected you in front of the whole family. She wants you to do something different than everybody else, and you shouldn't do that at all. Second video, he told her no way, no how. Turned into a whole big drama fest with her. He might pay 25% if she majored in something normal. Apologized, all that, none of that. And it was just one video after another with all the turmoil and drama with her and the family. Even so, that her and her effeminist friends showed up at his house and destroyed a car which she thought was his. Turns out to be the neighbor's, and then they got arrested and all that. And he's debating whether to obviously let the police handle it or drop the charges and all, or having the neighbor drop the charges and all that. And I made the case she can't drop the charges because she needs to learn her lesson. This girl screwed up. She's a total jerk. Blah 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 blah. So anyhow, guys, it left off with that, and now he's providing an update as to what has happened in the last month since. And this guy definitely, he's very grateful to you guys for sharing your tips and suggestions, because he was as good of a guy as he is and successful as he is. He was a little lost in how to handle it because it's always a different ballgame with people with family. Some people can be hard asses in real life, but when it comes to their family, a lot of people have weaknesses. So we're going to pick up with this story about crazy Clara. And I find this one particularly intriguing because I love to hear when these entitled, spoiled brat, Generation Z-tard kids get what's coming to them. So, it starts off, or continues, he says, "Hello there, SSN. So I know it's been a few weeks, and life has been pretty quiet for me. Cutting off Clara and her mother has been hard on our family, but it's given me more time to think about everything that has happened so far." Yes, he's also cut off Clara's mother, who is just as much a piece of trash in her own right as the daughter, so the acorn doesn't fall far from the tree. Anyways, I have news that I think you and your viewers will be happy to hear, and believe I'm indebted to you all and your viewers some closure to this story, since you all have supported me in the past. In my previous email, I said that Mila, whatever, however you pronounce that, the mother of Maria, the ENT doctor, and Grace, the dentist, these are the people in the family that went to school on his dime and majored in something good, would be supporting Clara in her gender studies degree. Well, I think you'd be happy to know that this is not happening anymore. Thank the Lord. This girl should not get any special treatment at all. As if she's not bad enough already, that'd just make her worse. Clara had also issued apology letters to the whole family. I'll tell you more about that later in the update. The family is slowly healed, but still fractured. One of your commenters has said that I need to cut off toxic family members, and while it is hard to do, it is a must in my situation. I've been saying this since day one, brother. I guess you need to hear from more people other than me, but yes, you don't need that in your life. It's just going to bring turmoil, and you've been doing all this turmoil because this kid this 18-year-old child, and the ripple effect it's had on your sisters and cousins and family and all that. I would have never thought that money and effinism would cause my family problems, but I guess in this crazy world that we live in today, anything is possible. Again, sorry for any errors and mistakes. English is not my first language. Don't apologize. You're doing great, man. Also, before I start, the Mercedes S-Class was paid for by Claire and Claire's friend and parent insurance company. The police report still exists for documentation. Well, good. They should have to pay for it. So straight to the point, Mila's husband outright refused to fund Clara's gender studies degree. Good. Mila had accepted without her husband's knowledge, and he shut it down. Let's call Mila's husband Mark. Mark is a bit of a no-nonsense hard-ass, and he comes off like an a-hole to most people, but deep down, he's a good guy. He couldn't make our reunion at the start of the year due to work. He's an essential worker. I believe he worked the military as an instructor or something, and is now in private security. Maria and Grace immediately told their father, Mark, the moment their mother, Mila, said that she would cover for Clara's college. So the father, one of the men in the family, who wasn't there for the whole fiasco at dinner when this all started, found out that the wife promised they'd pay for it, and he says, oh, hell no. Good for him. I had spoken with Grace and Maria about what had happened, and apparently it went something like this. Mark was at first confused on why I wasn't covering Claire's tuition, as he was aware that me and her used to be so close. When Maria and Grace told him the full story, he assured them that he would fix everything. Define fix. He may fix everything, but not to their liking. So Mark and Mila invited Clara and her mother over to their house to discuss her college trip. Before I continue, let me also reiterate that Mark is a hard-ass and a bit of an a-hole. I used to be a bit scared of the guy back when he was dating Mila. So when Clara and her mother came to talk to him, he basically had a verbal sparring match with them. According to Grace and Maria, he put in a stipulation wherein if Clara had walked out or failed to convince him during the meeting, then not only would they not pay for her college, but he would also send her police report directly to the University of Copenhagen or any other college that she may apply for ensuring that she would not get accepted. He is a hard ass. Clara is playing hardball, so you gotta play hardball, or this relative-in-law of yours has to play hardball. That's how it is. It's like the saying, somebody comes to a fight, you bring a bat. If somebody comes to the fight, they bring a bat, you bring a knife. If somebody brings a knife, you bring a gun. If somebody brings a gun, you bring a freaking bazooka. Something like that. Mila and Claire's mother, tried to talk Mark out of it, but he quickly sent them out of the room and left without another word. There was screaming involved, mostly from Clara, and eventually started loudly crying as well. The last line of defense is always the waterworks. After about an hour of talking to Clara, Clara had given up on going to the University of Copenhagen for gender studies. Mila and Mark will instead pay for counseling for Clara. Clara also deleted all her social media accounts after the meeting with Mark, and she has also dyed her hair back to its natural color. Mad. High five to Mark. This guy knows how to lay down the law. I'm curious what the hell color her hair was, because I believe the guy said she was always changing her hair color. Talk about a stereotype there. She had dyed her hair, and she cut it super short. I think the only thing she was missing is a bunch of tattoos and extra 40 pounds on her ass or something like that. I have no effing idea what Mark said to Clara, but I'm now thinking that if I had been a little more harsh with Clara, I could have avoided this whole mess. Well, brother, that's what I've been telling you since day one. The problem is that even if you did do that, Clara's perception of you as, the warm, cool uncle and all that, even if you came off pretty tough, it probably wouldn't done too much. On the other hand, Uncle Mark here has a reputation for being a hard ass and not taking any shit. And, well, look what happened. My opinion is better to be known as kind of an asshole and not have people challenge you or disrespect you than being the fun and goofy guy that everybody likes, but they're always testing their barriers. You ever notice that with kids? That either teachers in school or babysitters or parents or people of authority, the ones that are the goofy ones, the one that wants to be their friend, that's the one they pull a lot of BS with. But the ones that they're always unsure how they're going to react, they're no-nonsense types, they rarely yank their chain. They rarely test the barriers because they know they're going to get it. Anyway, I have received Clara's apology letter. Everyone had received one a week after Mark talked to Clara, and she was remorseful about causing a scene at my house and scratching a car that belonged to someone else. Clara is aware that she caused our whole family to become split, but hopes that she can mend her relationships with everyone. Yeah, that's all nice and everything, but the only reason she wrote this letter and dyed her hair back and all that is because this guy scared the bejesus out of her, and she's doing this to obviously get what she wants. I don't trust this kid any further than I can throw her ass. She also mentioned that she had put us through, what she had put us through were not the values of the feminist movement, but her own toxic misinterpretations, and hopes that it won't change my view on empowered women. My views on women have not changed, but my views on feminism have. This is what happens to a lot of guys. A lot of guys I've come to notice, you ask your average Joe in the street about feminism, depending on where you live, and they might think, oh, that's a good thing, and blah, 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 and equal rights and equal treatment and all that. But what they fail to realize is what things are nowadays, what the attitude is nowadays, what has created, the mess is created, amongst many other things. And they got to learn the hard way. They're experiencing it firsthand or their family and all that. Then they learn. It goes on, as for college, Clara hopes to get my support in the future, but for now will work to support herself once she chooses a proper course. I have not responded to her letter, and neither has the rest of the family. I'm still stern on my position about not paying for Clara's college tuition fees. However, if she does improve, I could always bring back my 25% offer, but I'm still in a highly doubting phase. I wouldn't do that. Because remember, you in the second video, you said, okay, here's the deal. After all the disrespect and all that, if you get your shit together, apologize, demonstrate through your actions that you've changed, and major in something sensible, then I'll take care of 25%. But then all the BS happened with her more disrespect and her showing up at your house to protest and damaging the car she thought was yours. And I said, that's it, the 25% is off the table. If you go back on that, the next thing you know, they're going to be testing to see what else she can get away with. You got to stick with that. And I can't remember if you took that off the table or not. If you did, it's done. In my opinion. Learn from Uncle Mark. The children are not so forgiving. They absolutely do not want anything to do with Clara, especially Grace, since she called her profession useless and low-paying. Good. This girl needs to be held accountable for her actions. They're doing her a favor to show if you're going to be disrespectful and nasty to people in your family, then you're going to pay the consequences and people aren't going to have anything to do with you. If people just got an apology letter from her, which probably they all think is a bunch of BS, and just, okay, everything's fine now, that can just teach her, well, I can always just give a BS apology letter and treat people like crap. She needs to go through a period of time when people aren't talking to her, really realize what her actions have caused. Even her own brother Marcus is staying away from her and his mother for the time being due to the recent actions. Mila, Anne, and Claire, my sisters, have been split on this whole situation. Claire and Mila think that Mark was too harsh on Clara and wants him to apologize. He has laughed this off and refused. Of course he refused, because masculine alphas, tough guys, no-nonsense guys that say what they mean what they say, all that, they're not going to go back and apologize when they know what they did is right, just to make their wives or the women or their family members happy. Oh, hell no. They'd rather burn in hell for eternity than let that happen because he was right in what he did. Notice he got her to do all this, but whatever he said to her, compared to everybody else, they're-they'ring her and all that, right? He played hardball with her, and look what happened. He showed who was the adult and who was the kid. And they expect him to go back and apologize for this? Bullshit. That's never going to happen. While Anne thinks that Mark gave her a well-deserved verbal ass-kicking and he should talk to her more often. We've actually tried to ask Mark what he said to Clara, but all he said was he fixed things and is just to be happy that he didn't send her to military school. Well, she already had the haircut for military school. Her hair was butched and super short. Just had to dye it back to her normal color. In all honesty, I think that Mark might have went easy on Claire despite what my sibling thinks. I don't think so. I'm grateful to Mark for pushing Claire to apologize to the family, and I think it might bring him a basket of his favorite. I might bring him a basket of his favorite wine and other things as a sign of thanks. Yeah, I would definitely do something for this guy. And that's basically it, SSM. Thank you for sharing my whole situation with you and your viewers. I'm not sure if you were expecting to ever hear from me again, but I hope this was the outcome that you and your audience was rooting for. I'm very happy to hear this, but I'm going to remain skeptical to see this change in attitude, how long it lasts. If your family suddenly all too quickly goes back to welcoming her and all that, and letting what she did slide, you could very much see a return of Ephanus Clara before you know it, like that. The support everyone has shown me has been incredible, and I believe you and your community are a beacon of light in this world gone wrong. Well, thank you. That's what we're trying to do. Ain't just me, it's all you guys out there. So thank you to all the brothers that watched the previous videos and commented. You're really helping people out, guys. I do believe this is the final update, despite this being the third time that I said the final update. I do hope that one day Clara does change for the better, and whatever counseling she receives will help her understand her own internal issues. But for now, I'm firm in not talking to her or Claire until future notice. Thank you, SSM, and have a good day. Well, bro, I thought I'd hear from you again, but I didn't think I'd be doing another video. But like I said, I found your story so interesting and entertaining, not to mention the audience here, that I was like, all right, I'll do another one. The final update, whatever the hell I'm going to label this in the title of this video. I'll figure that out after I'm done editing this whole thing later today. But anyway, man, honestly, in spite of her actions and how much she's been a little shithead, and other words I'm not going to say on this channel, I actually do hope that maybe the counseling will, in some shred, maybe a possibility, could get this brainwashing, indoctrination to this steaming pile of horse crap out of her head. I hope so, because that's one less Ephanus asshole in this world. I really do. But I'm not going to hold my breath, okay? And so I hope this happens, but don't you cave. Follow the actions of Uncle Mark. Uncle Mark was a hard ass, and whatever he said to her obviously got enough of a reaction to her to handle things the way she did. Unless it's a big con to con the family, figuring like, well, wait a second, I'll just cave and write these apology letters and dye my hair from being blue to black, or whatever the hell original hair color is, and put on this whole charade so I can get my way and later on show them down the road. I don't know. It's possible, because given her actions, she's definitely proven to be sticking. She digs her feet in the sand and is not budging. So good thing that Uncle Mark said this. And again, Uncle Mark ain't going to back down on what he said or apologize, even though his wife thought he should. Not happening. But anyway, man, good job, good story. Keep working on you, and I'm glad you're doing well. And down the road, if something really interesting happens, send me an email. I know the guys here are going to love this. I mean, it's funny, but this channel is really turning into these fantastic stories, and then just... I've done a lot of stories over the last 2 years, but it's only in the last few months people started sending me updates and sequels and all that, and now it's really become pretty fun, I gotta tell you. So I really enjoy hearing these stories and all. Alright guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. Let this guy know what you think, as always. He definitely appreciates it. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.